back to the Thriving Thursdays podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, and his name is Bryson Bates. He is a wonderful friend of mine who has just entered into the music era, specifically creating faith-based funk music, as I would classify. And he has recently just released an album called Twisted Paragons. And I will go ahead and give him a quick second to introduce himself to you guys. And you guys can familiarize yourselves with him a little bit before we dive into his music.
Yeah, Bryson Bates, man. I'm from Amarillo, Texas, uh, but I've lived in Sherman longer. Musically, faith-based funk. That's a
Is
first.
that how you would classify it? I mean, I just took a stretch. That's the vibes I get from it, but I don't know if that's what you're shooting
I like it.
for.
I like it. I really don't know what you classify. I'm one of those people. I'm inspired by a multitude of things. My dad grew me up on punk, hip hop, a lot of funk, Tejano music, just a blend of stuff. And I like to think when I create, it's just pulling from those, and I never really know what's gonna come out. I
Yeah.
think the groove is just ingrained in me,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I like that it's really unique. For anyone who hasn't heard his music, go ahead. It's Dapper Soul is the name. It's not just you,
hmm
right? You are partnered with a friend
Enoch
and
Johnson.
Enoch Johnson, and so Dapper Soul is the collective name that of you guys. So what? So I'm telling them, go check out Dapper Soul. But what does that name even mean, Dapper Soul?
So Dapper Soul is the man. It's the love child between me and Enoch, and just it basically means so dapper. When you call something dapper, it's well trimmed, it's handsome. I mean, it can look like that. It can look like
Ah,
So
uh-huh.
if you say sol, S-O-L, Spanish for light, it's
Okay.
also do re mi fa sol. It's the fifth note in the range, tonic range, uh, but it's also sol. So it's a triple entendre.
Okay.
So just describing the state of our souls with Jesus and just how we should present ourselves.
Okay. Okay.
And
So, what pushed you to even pursue music and pursue Dapper Soul, the creativity of it? I guess first answer I kind of asked two questions. Answer what even pushed you or motivated you to go to music, to pursue and do music?
it's crazy because that was never what I wanted to do. A lot of people don't know, or very few know, I was a sketch artist for years. I did contests. I was that nerdy artist guy in the corner. Then I got into story writing and actually ended up writing. Still I put these in competitions too, but fiction, fantasy stuff.
Uh huh.
And then that somehow led into songwriting. And a lot of worship leaders don't do hip hop or don't do funk,
Yeah.
which so I'm kind of in this lane where I don't really have people to look at,
Uh huh.
from a worship standpoint. But that's where I started was church. My uncle put a guitar in my hands and said, "Here, here's four chords. Here's a song. Get to it." And then I found out I could rap and sing. It just kind of came out of whatever God had tucked in my soul.
Okay.
And got into producing in high school. When I got into high school, every single day I would just be writing, looking at other people's songs, figuring out how do I get to this level. I obviously am trash, but I kept going. I kept going. Failed a few grades, but not like get held back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, the lecture was happening, and I was writing a song about like taking an Eminem song and trying to flip it to the Christian version. I was like,
Mm.
I'm a, I'm a be the
The
op-
Christian Eminem.
yeah, Skittle. I think people call me Skittle. Aaron Saltero, that brother called. And it's funny. It's funny. But
Uh,
those little things, whether I knew it or not, led into where I'm at now.
yeah.
And I don't even consider myself an art, like a full
You
blown
an
artist.
artist. You an artist. Don't even play. You an artist.
it's still like my brain is still in that time period
Hmm.
in terms of I'm hungry for it, but I could be a little I could work and practice and get a little better to where
Yeah.
I'm hearing what I'm hearing in my head,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, I did worship. I became a worship leader at a high school. And then DapperSol came about when me and Enoch met out at a open mic and found out we liked the same music. And I was like, huh. And I was like, man, well, I kind of like, I kind of do like experimental hip hop. He had heard some of my SoundCloud stuff and was a fan.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, we should do something.
Yeah.
And so we went to my studio in the room. And for those of you who know Anger Room was the first song we ever did. We were like, man, let's do something straight hip hop, jazzy, bouncy, but let's just give it that in your face lyricism. And man, we just bounced off each other well.
That's
So it went
nice.
from doing that in high school to worship, and then me and Enoch starting that, and then it just all meshed.
Yeah.
And
So it really all began with you finding out your music talent at church, though, right? And then,
yeah.
like, it becoming an escape from, like, I guess maybe like school and like the stressful stuff in life. Is that like a correct assumption?
So yeah, so I've always been I have a ADHD brain, so I'm wired a little differently. So when I
Yeah.
see stuff, it's in colors and shapes, and when I would look at those lyrics, my obviously I wasn't paying attention to the lecture. I
Mm-hmm.
would drift off into the page and think, man, what am I wanting to show people through this? I could see myself on stages performing these,
Mm.
and it was just I got excited. That's what kept me going. This excitement
That's good.
and the motivation for it. And
Yeah. Was
man,
there anyone that you like particularly looked up to or someone that inspired you, I guess, within like you starting to pursue your career?
so Toby Mac in the beginning. So
Uh-huh.
it was actually a song of his with Lecrae that I did at a youth camp. So it was
Uh-huh.
rapping and singing, and people were like, "Oh my
Which
gosh,
song? Do you remember which song it
forgiveness!"
was?
Because we
Forgiveness.
all make mistakes sometimes.
Okay, that's a good one.
It's
Yeah.
it was four chords. It was easy to play, capo four, and then I just learned it. And I said, I don't think I even planned on playing it, but my friend had a friend named Kobe Graham that he was another guitar guy, and he's like, "Yeah, bro, just go for it."
Yeah.
Pushed me to do it, and then
That's
they
awesome.
took videos. My mom saw it and was like, "Oh my gosh, our kid actually has talent."
He's
Uh,
useful for something.
pretty much.
What has been the hardest thing, do you think, um, becoming an artist? Because you are in the beginning phases, right, of like your music era. What has been the most difficult or challenging thing so far that you can see?
So it's really, and going back to what you said, the question before, it was really looking at those influences. Like I
Mm,
looked up Anderson Paak, Aesop Rock, like got into some underground stuff, and looking at what made these people great, what makes them great, and saying what do I have naturally
mm,
that makes me stand out.
yeah,
And the hard part was finding that because I dealt with a lot of that insecurity, lack of confidence.
gotcha.
Just there was a number of things happening, but it's really finding your voice and looking at other people, looking at the bad examples and the good, and knowing like, man, I want to produce, but I want to
Mm,
write and I want to do everything, which is great. It's great to want, but
yeah,
it's also realizing you got to start with one thing or you're going to stress out
right.
and just run yourself dry. So, I guess to really answer your question, uh, finding confidence in your voice
Okay.
and allowing yourself room to grow, even if it doesn't sound like what you want, you say,
Mm-hmm.
here's a
Keep
starting
pushing.
point. Let's go from here.
Yeah. I think
Man.
baby steps is really key, right? Because I feel like it can be hard when you are a creative person. Like you like dream big and you aim big, and then it's like all the way up here, and you're trying to go all the way up there without taking the steps that you should be taking, like the smaller steps to get to that big goal you have. You just want to get to that big goal, you know. I feel like that can be really challenging. Taking those small steps to get to that big thing that you can see, you know.
And that's the crazy thing about being a Christian anything, just creative musician, is that even me, I started listening to a lot of Christian music, and then I went from there into more secular, into more underground, because there's stuff to learn even from them.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, was there a way to mesh all this and make something that's not being played on the radio, but something that's me?
Mm.
And I saw it, I could see it, but I was like, what is that? What does that look like?
Mm.
What's the sound? And that ooh, it was a process.
Yeah.
Especially when you envision this and you can see this, but it's like that stuff takes time,
Right.
years, months. For me, years.
Yeah.
I've been practicing and developing this stuff since freshman year of high school. So, maybe 9 years, probably 8. I don't know. It's whew,
Yeah.
makes me sound
It's
old.
taken you a while to get to where you are now,
Yeah,
because of the process, and
yeah,
you you can't get to step 5 without going through 2, 3, and 4 after completing step 1. And yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head, like patience, like not only patience with the process, but patience with yourself because you need to grow in some areas. The Lord has to do some shoveling off of things in you, and to create the person and the space that he needs for you and to reach your goal, to reach your
yeah,
dream, what you want to pursue.
yeah. Whew, yeah, and that's the superpower of trusting in Jesus. Not to sound cliche or corny, but it's so true. Once I got to the point where I truly surrendered, and I said, Lord, you take this creativity, you take whatever's going on in my brain, bring it to life in the way you want it to, if it's in your will.
Yeah.
And so far, it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
But those things that I imagined but just didn't know what it looked like, they
Right.
started having, they started taking form and having faces, and I could recognize it. And I was like, that was there all along. I just It just
Mm.
looked alien to me
Yeah.
because I'm not God. I can't
Right.
orchestrate things so perfectly. You know, like, did I know that He would bring me here back in high school? That I think, man, I'm actually practicing something I'm gonna be doing in the future. Like, you don't know that,
Right.
but you get
Just going
excited.
through the motions at
Yeah,
that point. Yeah. Yeah.
because who, and that's the crazy thing about dreaming big, or uh, you just feel like the Lord puts it on you to pursue something creative. When you are creative, it's just part of your being.
Hmm.
Like, one thing I like to tell myself is creativity is a muscle, and to expand it, to make it more colorful, to expand the palette, you got to work it.
Hmm.
I am, therefore I create. God is creative, so therefore we create because of Him.
Yeah. Yeah. So, what made you also? There's Christians out there that um, they make content or they begin in some creative area pursuing
Yeah.
something, but they don't really. I don't want to say include God in that, but they don't make it about their faith. Why have you chosen to like really implement your faith and like just your Christian nature into what you're producing instead of just being a regular hip hop funk artist?
Abstract neo. I don't even know what you call it. We'll find a term for it. Abstract
I
neo
know.
soul. I don't know. Uh, so I think that's the beauty of my first album, Twisted Paragons.
Mhm.
Even though it's not, I can't call it 100% mine, which I'm not mad about, because me and Enoch had some great experiences developing the songs and writing and just bouncing off of each other's brains.
Yeah.
The songs, some songs on there, I'm sure people don't know, started when I was in a really, really nasty, dark time.
So it
And
wasn't that
it
you
wasn't
were just
coming.
like this perfect Christian guy that just
Oh my gosh, no, you
had all the
know,
right things to say.
I was doing things with, yeah, sparing the details in the bottle, on the sticky, all sorts of that
Yeah.
dark situations. But I knew I wanted to make music, and Enoch, you know, he was that person. I had Christian friends, I had the non-Christian friends. I wasn't like exclusive to any of them, but
Hmm.
he was always that person that when he wrote verses, it did reflect back to God. He had the bars, he had the lyricism, but you knew what he was pointing to.
Hmm.
And I would try to take it and say, nah, we gotta like put it in a subliminal, make it a metaphor. And I was good at that stuff. I was good at writing verses that could, you know, anyone could sing, anyone,
Hmm.
which isn't a bad thing.
Right.
But it wasn't from a place of God, I want to glorify you.
Mm.
So like even Anger Room, I saw some of those earlier tracks weren't trying to glorify God. I was like, it's gonna have a Christian appeal to it,
Yeah.
but it's not coming from that place.
Mm.
Which over time, as it developed, and I just say this album because it was such a development, such a growth for me, and
Growth for you spiritually.
hmm
Hmm.
creatively, especially spiritually, and just finding, man, this is who God made me to be. Why should I be ashamed of that?
Hmm. That's good.
And just some of the last half of the album just reflects that new change. So it's kind of a subliminal. It's like there's a story in there,
Yeah.
but just reflects that growth in that process.
Wow.
So,
Awesome. Why did you choose to name it Twisted Paragons? What's behind that, Twisted Paragon?
oh Lord, okay. So, for all my Sherman folk, Paragon Realtors. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Actually, a house down the street just got sold by Paragon. And I
yeah.
told him, I was like, oh, it's Paragon, it's Bryson Bates.
So, funny story. DapperSol was not DapperSol in the beginning. We were PT Paragon, Portal to Paragon.
Portal to Paragon.
That was the name.
Okay. Okay.
So we were driving and thinking of names, and Enoch saw the sign Paragon. He was like, "Let's use that." He looked it up, and Paragon is regarded as the perfect example of something. So as a Christian, that's easy. That's Jesus, and we could be the portal to Jesus,
Ooh.
and it was cool.
Yeah.
But something didn't sit right as a duo name for us.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's me being picky, but eventually I came with the name Dapper Soul because it just fit with us. And then PT Paragon, I took Paragon and I said that can still be used for something.
Mm.
Why don't we, since this is a reflection of us and kind of our process to righteousness and Jesus,
Hmm.
let's call it Twisted Paragons because Jesus is the perfect one,
Right.
but we're the Twisted Paragons. It can get deeper from there, but it's pretty surface level for the most part. But yeah, it came from a realtor.
So your title, Twisted Paragons, is really us then, being
Yeah,
the twisted versions of
yeah.
Jesus. I like that. That's awesome.
And it never says that name explicitly in there,
Mm-hmm.
but at one point it does worship the perfect paragon above.
Mm.
So it's more of a metaphorical. I'm a poetry guy. I can get deep,
You can, if you listen to the songs, you will know that it's a lot of metaphors, a lot of, you go deeper in the lyrics. I remember we were listening to the songs when you had your album release party,
Mm,
and you had the lyrics, and I was like, wow, like reading them is so different than just singing them because you sing along because it's so groovy and catchy, so you're just
mm,
vibing with it, and then you look at the lyrics and you're like, does it mean what I think that means? Like, that's deep, you know? And that's what I liked about your music. Because, yeah, you're my friend, right? So I could be like, yeah, I like your music because you're my friend. But, like,
Yeah,
for
so
my,
good.
for me personally, it was like, I like that. I like the poetry behind it. I like, because I mean, okay, so example, I like to listen to NF. Like I get along with NF. I
Yeah.
vibe with his music. A lot of people are like, so even my husband, right, Ricky, he's like, I can't listen to NF. I don't know how you do it. He's just so like out there. Like with the what he's saying, the what he's
Bro,
spitting out is like it's dark and it's like and I'm like I don't know, like I like that, you know? And with your music, I think that's something that's like why I like it is because of the poetry, the lyrics, how rich they are. Like you got to go deeper. Like it's not just what it says. Like it's not about a twisted paragon. It's about us being twisted versions of Jesus. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
man. And that's the one thing that I always wanted to excel in was lyricism. So the cool thing about our dynamic, Enoch, a great lyricist by the way. I mean, some of my favorite verses are from him. He's more of a surface level guy. So the contrast to me being more poetic, I think it blends well. It reminds me of for this may be an exclusive group, but if you ever listen to Outkast, Andre 3000 and Big Boy were the same way, same dynamic. So it's like polar opposites or even style of writing mesh together well. So poetry for me, I never liked I never liked putting it on a tray and saying, "Here you go."
yeah,
I was like, "Man, you can read. I mean, you can understand a little bit, but I want you to dive deep because I speak in imagery. I'm like, how can I use images to convey a message? But it could mean two or three different things.
yeah. I love that.
I don't know.
I love that.
I don't know.
That's awesome. So, fun fact: you sang "Color Me," which is a song on the Twisted Paragons album. You sang "Color Me" acoustically
Yeah,
at my wedding for one of
yeah.
my first dance. That was
Man,
awesome. That was beautiful.
first time anyone ever had me perform a original.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Okay, it hadn't released yet, right? Or had it released? I don't think it did when you sang it
I
up.
think it was like
Okay,
freshly released
maybe it
at
was.
that point.
Okay. But that's the only romantic song, right? So far
Yeah,
that
so
you
far.
have released. Um, who inspired you to write Color Me? Because it's obviously about love and a woman. Um, who inspired you to write Color Me? Where does it come from?
Whoa,
Why
this is
is it
this.
even on the album?
All right, this has a really interesting story. So, uh, my lady, Stephanie Zambrano,
We
my mi boricua, she
shout out to all the Boricuas out
yeah, shout
there.
out my brown
Represent.
sugar curly headed babies. Uh, so this song, so early on in Twisted Paragons, when it wasn't even Twisted Paragons, it was gonna be a demo.
Okay.
I had actually talked with a guy who worked in the industry, and he was like, "Man, don't even worry about big production stuff. Just put a demo together, 3 songs and a cover song. Boom."
Uh huh.
And I said, "Okay, I might as well."
Yeah.
So it was Anger Room, Eyesore Owls, and then it was a song called Anywhere by Anderson Paak. It's a G Funk song, but it's a little dirty. It's not like, oh, I'm
Okay.
having sex, but you know what it's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's just a
A
solid
little
piece.
lustful.
It is, it is. It's a great piece, but
Yeah.
not meaning wise. So I did that, uh, and I was gonna keep it on the album because I had actually made an early version and then came back and updated the sound completely. So I take old
Mm.
tracks. It happened with DMTM. There's an old version and then there's a not a remix but a refreshed version.
Mm.
So I did that and it was going on the album. It was almost finalized until my Stephanie heard it and said, "Is this going on the album?"
She said, "Hold up, brother.
Yeah.
Hold up. What are you trying to
And
say?
I had already had reservations about it because I
Mm-hmm.
knew. But I was like, man, I put so much work into to tweaking it, the
Mm,
harmonies.
yeah,
And I was like, I
a lot of
can't
time.
restart. I'm trying to release this album. And she said, nah, nah, try something new there. Because Enoch had already written a verse that was, you know, love positive, love positive, woman positive,
Mm-hmm.
all race, all color, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Fantastic verse.
Yeah.
But I sang the explicit parts. So then I sat down, reworked the song, the chords, the bass line, redid it,
Yeah.
and one word stuck in my head was "color me."
Why color me?
It actually comes from an old R&B group, Color Me Bad. So when you say "color me," it means consider me. So if you color me bad, color me in love. It's like consider me in love.
Ah,
So I was like, let's take the colors, and
that's smart.
I reworked it, redid the verses. I was like, what are people gonna sing?
Mm-hmm.
And then me and Enoch, I had the first and third line of the chorus done, and Enoch came in and filled in the rest. Don't need a reason to get stuck in
Yeah.
and the rest was history.
Wow.
So,
I love that because it touches on what you spoke about earlier, how this didn't all start from a place of like wanting automatically to glorify the Lord with it, but it came from the place that you were at in that time. And so even this song stems from a moment and time in which, like, again, it just you didn't know where it was going to be
mm-mm,
taken. You followed your heart in writing a song about a romance, and then later on the Lord was like, "Hey, let me change that up for you. This is what the love I want you to have looks like."
it's almost poetic in the sense that it sounds crazy. The worship leader almost had a sex song and flipped it into a love song, and it's kind of poetic in the way you can, how God takes something twisted and perfects
That's
it and
crazy.
refines it. So that song is very much
I love
a
that.
testament to that.
Yeah.
So shout out Minovia.
Hey, that boricua out
You know,
there.
you know what it is.
So, what is some advice that you would give to someone who's trying to pursue the same career that you're pursuing?
This is wild.
I
So
know.
advice that I would have wanted to hear, or that I would tell myself,
Mm-hmm.
really depends on how you're starting out. Or you want to be a DIY, learn how to produce, learn how to write. Anyone can say that, but you really gotta learn the details of it to be great with it.
Mm-hmm.
My advice is, if you're able to find mentors, people who have done the same thing you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
or even other artists. They don't even have to be big. One advice someone gave to me was, if you're networking, if you're building with people, don't build vertical, build horizontal. Because you can't, like, I can't make a song and email Drake. Like, what's Drake
Mm,
gonna do? Use my song? He doesn't even know who I am. I have no
mm-hmm.
credibility,
Yeah.
you know. So good advice that I would give is, no matter what you're doing, oh, that voice crack. No matter what you're doing, build horizontal.
That's good.
Because if you build with people on that same level,
Yeah.
those are people you can grow with, who
Yeah.
can make you better. And those are people you'll have with you for life if that's where they're going too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So never vertical. Because it's also crazy. Like, like I'm going to hand out bootleg CDs at someone's concert. Listen to my stuff. Please listen. They used to do that. It was crazy.
Dang.
But yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's good advice. I even take that, it's like with me, I'm beginning this new journey podcasting. It's like I can't reach up to this famous podcaster. Like I got
Mm,
to start with my people that are growing with me in their new careers and their new,
facts.
like that's where I got to start because that's where I'm at right now. One
Yeah.
day maybe I'll get there, but I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
So, what do you see in the future for Dapper Soul or for you personally as an artist?
I got plans. um, definitely for Dapper Soul, that was a toe in the door or a
Mm-hmm.
foot. I don't know what it is yet. I definitely have plans to do more with Enoch and just pushing that brand out, as
Mhm.
well as I have some solo projects planned.
Oh, whoa, whoa,
Uh,
what?
Look,
Solo
I'll tell
projects?
you this: the single I'm working on now, I
Uh-huh.
made it when I was finishing Twisted Paragons,
Uh-huh.
and I was sitting in my room with it, and I just, just in worship and prayer and just writing, and I
Yeah.
had a whole concept come to me, a whole project. So it just adds to the list of stuff to make,
Wow.
you know.
Nice.
So definitely more of that. Definitely gonna try to do more merchandise,
And but for the
and
people who are watching, like actually on YouTube and stuff, I'm wearing one of his shirts or hoodies,
Ooh,
the only one that was available
in
at his
existence.
release album party.
You stole it from my mama.
I did. She was kind of sad. She took a picture of me in it. She was like, "I need a picture of you at least," because I didn't buy it. I was like, "I'm sorry." Um, and the cover of it is actually the song "Owls" that's on his Twisted Paragons album. So yeah, if you're wondering, this is actually his merch for DapperSol.
Crazy.
Yes, yes. So what are some ways you think that DapperSol has been thriving since the first single to now the album that you guys have released? Because this is called the Thriving Thursday podcast. So you got to tell us in what
Ooh.
ways do you feel that this has been thriving?
Ooh. Oh man, look.
He said, "Let me pull out my list right quick, lady."
Do I need my list there? No, thriving. So,
Yeah.
man,
Because we're made to thrive. Like, am I wrong or am I right? Because
I
the Lord made us to thrive. He
yeah,
wants you to live your best life in His way, obviously, right? Like, you know.
man.
But,
I
right?
would say so. When we first released Anger Room,
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of testing the waters.
Okay.
At that point, we had met y'all. We had met. All right, come on, buddy. We had met the group and kind of established that community.
Yeah.
So we released it, and there was people who actually listened and actually put it out there, which I don't think if we didn't have y'all, we didn't have the group, the community, it wouldn't have happened the same.
Mm.
So then in that process, I saw, and then I was learning, mixing, and mastering. So it's why it took longer, because I was just refining. And then by the point the album was ready, people were already expecting it.
Mm.
And, now I'm even to the point where I'm trying to, I don't know if I should leak it. Sorry, manager. I'm trying to do like acoustic sessions of the songs,
Okay.
actually performing them
Okay.
in different mediums. Because I'm a guy who, I like the studio version, but
Mm-hmm.
also have an acoustic version and like different other
Just
varieties.
saying, the acoustic color me at my wedding for the first dance was beautiful.
Oh, just
It
wait.
was beautiful. Um, I remember I told you actually you could use that footage to make a whole acoustic color me video. Like, do it because it was just so good. So I'm excited to hear that.
Big plans.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even just to now, like these plans, none of this would have been possible if if we hadn't put the song out.
Hmm.
And it was a lot to learn, a lot of growing pains with it.
Yeah.
But the people around me, y'all, Stephanie, Ender, everybody around me has been so supportive
Yeah.
and actually likes the music,
It's
which
one
is
thing to be supportive and
nuts.
not like the music, right? Because then you're
Yeah,
just like, oh yeah, I support you, but like you're not
it's
gonna go share that with your friends.
mm, which inspires me because
Yeah.
this is coming from a kid who started with crap like a panties on a pop filter, like crappy equipment, DIY, thinking, man,
You gotta start somewhere. Gotta start
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful,
That's
And from
awesome.
here, I gotta make the best I can because people are listening.
Yeah.
So
No, yeah. Can you do me a favor?
what's that?
Can you spit a freestyle?
Oh Lord, a
Can
freestyle.
you? It don't have to be rap if you don't want to. It could
Well,
be,
that's
I don't know, anything. Something. Give us something.
well, just so I don't let my brain go off the rails, I have one on top of my head.
Oh, shoot. Okay, go for it. Go for it.
4-3 lift off, early for the kickoff, a socket for the plugs. That's where they got that kilowatt. two won't. Listen, wars for the pigeons. Send the word to carnivores. I ain't the one you want. 30 martyrs won't starboard when the going gets harder. More death for the bloodstained, the ones to risk it all. You, me, glisten amongst dirty dishes. Don't matter when the scraps scream more for attention. You ain't gotta listen to my figure of speech, but my skills are toward the force. I'm potential to be a whole $1 billion baby built for battle. I mean, shot the competition like Sith Lords. Look, see, too free for the freaks. Heathen bred with swagger. Elohim in my lead. A Nazarene wrote my patterns. If the
Woo!
boogeyman bleeds while we jump at a breeze, oh, the antics are tired in the least.
Wow. Just
There
so
you
y'all
go.
know, I did not ask him or tell him I would be asking him to spit a freestyle. I promise you I put it on everything. I did it. So that was awesome.
I don't know what I just said, girl.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. No, for real. Thank you. Thank you for joining us and being here with us today. It was a pleasure to have you. I love talking with you and just picking at your creative brain. You're really unique.
Well, thank you for
And
having me.
for everyone that's listening, seriously, go check out DapperSol on Spotify, Apple Music. Go listen to Twisted Paragons and go support our brother. Thank you. Stay tuned for next Thursday's Thriving Thursday podcast.
Peace.